Yes, John Demrius
Yeah.
is here.
Face.
Demrius, are you from the
What are you talking
Ukraine?
about?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
How are what part of the Ukraine are you in? How are things going there?
Central part. Actually, my city wasn't bombed yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I spoke with a Russian today who's a military member, and he's living in Russia, and he kind of has bought into this idea that that there's been this genocide happening in the Ukraine against Ukrainian like Russian separatists.
No, no, no,
What do
no.
you?
It's total bullshit. Total bullshit, really.
Right? Yeah. I think it's bullshit too, because I haven't seen a lick of evidence that demonstrates this. So what? Just give me a rundown of what you think the Russian position is and why they're wrong here.
Okay. Actually, it's mostly about Putin. So he wants to restore Soviet Union, at least in some ways. In some, maybe not all countries, but Ukraine for sure. Ukraine, he was his first target from the very beginning. But it was some way to go. He was afraid to attack Ukraine from the start. So he actually first attacked Georgia, also uh, uh, support wars in Syria and other countries. Actually, he had a lot of wars already. Just a world just wasn't mentioned it, noticed it before.
Right. And why do you think? Do you think that Russians, the ones who are in favor of this war, do you think they actually believe there is genocide going on, or do you think this is
Yes,
simply an
yes.
excuse? Oh, that you think they actually believe?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's a product of 20 years propaganda. You know,
Right.
they live in another reality, like North Korea, when they believe they uh, winning against America in war. You know, it's not North Korea. They all believe that they in war with America and all world, and they are winning. So Russia pretty close to that already.
And how are you holding up? Do you have all the resources you need, or are things running short there? Maybe give us a little bit of insight to what your personal
Yes,
struggles have
sure.
been here.
Sure. Our shops suffers lack of products now. Not too bad, but definitely noticeable
Yeah.
reduce of products. But all our cities actually made own military divisions, like for territorial defense.
Have you decided to join the resistance here and fight, or are you not going to fight?
No. I am not
No.
not a fighter.
Yeah.
I am helping
Why
other way.
not?
What was
If
Actually,
you don't mind me asking.
Yeah.
okay. Actually, I am have a cancer head, so I am not able to fight properly.
Oh,
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
he has a what? Sorry, what was that?
Cancer
Oh, cancer.
disease.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
Sorry
that's
to hear that, man.
terrible. Are you in treatment right now? Like, are you able to get your necessary treatment, or what's that situation like?
Oh no, I'm in how it's called. So I'm already finished my treatment.
Oh, okay.
You're in remission.
Yes.
Good.
Oh, that's good. Some good news.
Good, but you still have effects that you can't be in areas where it can spark the cancer back up. So you got to be careful.
Yes, and I actually I wanted to sign myself to military, and they didn't take me.
Oh, okay.
Said that I couldn't go.
You're immune. Your immune system isn't strong enough. You
I
gotta
see.
recover, man.
I
It takes
see.
a long time. It takes a long time to get to
Mhm.
recover before you can do that. But where are you at as far as like supporting the Russians and the Russian people? Because obviously there's a lot of, like you said, brainwashed, impoverished people. But unlike North Korea, that you can start to get internet access and videos and things like that to these impoverished towns, via a cell phone sometimes and a good satellite link.
Yes, and
Or
they say
they're
that we are brainwashed by America, and
yeah,
all videos are deep fake, made by Americans.
Mm.
got it. So they're even trying to spin that, like, don't even trust the YouTubes and all that, right?
Wait, it's not even trust their relatives in Ukraine. Like,
Yeah.
son said to his mother in Russia, "Come on, you are bombarding us," and she said, "No, you are just crazy. You are brainwashed."
Oh.
Yes,
Wow.
really.
Brainwashed into seeing explosions. Heck of a
Yes,
thing.
exactly.
Wow.
I mean, there's arguably, if you do the count, there's about 1.5 billion people who are for Ukraine globally right now. The rest of
Yes.
them are either like don't know, or they're abstinent. They're not that. And there's only about 200 million people who are for this annexation.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
But
Al. How you doing, man?
Russian actually losing this war already.
Yeah.
Losing.
What do you think? What should be the penalty for Putin here? Do you think?
Hug, like something like Nuremberg,
Like Nuremberg. You think he should
Yes.
go on trial? Yeah,
Sure.
I think he should be taken up on warmongering charges, crimes against humanity. I think.
Did you see what happened to the International Criminal Court? You see what happened there?
Yeah. What wasn't? Let me see.
There's the International Criminal Court Security Council, I believe, is headed by the Russian Federation.
Right.
And they started to take a vote, and they were like, and it's like, so the Russian Federation, and I watched the whole thing, the Russian Federation is hosting country after country after country, fucking ripping it a new one, saying, how dare you guys, what are you guys doing, this is a war crime, going off. And they just responded like, we don't see it that way, we don't see it that way, we don't see it that way. And then they were kicked out from as a Security Council. Yeah. Like, even the ICC is like, yeah, we're going to start proceeding. Like, we have a unanimous vote to start saying these are international crimes. And so that's happening now, and they're taking it to the UN. I mean, this whole thing is coming full circle. How do you think that we're supposed to, like, and then what? Somebody got a warrant and arrest? Like, how does that work?
I'm pretty sure that Russia will be like Soviet Union will be dismantled for more republics, because they still have a lot of different countries that should not be there.
You feel like we're backing a bear into a corner?
Like to Moscovia, when it is Moscow, St. Petersburg, maybe Yekaterinburg, like 4 or 5 big cities, and that's all. That should be in Russia. All others should be own countries, separate sovereign countries.
You think Russia
Talk of
itself?
talk of taking Putin out is backing it into a corner.
But if you engage,
that's World War III talk.
If you engage in these kind of, like, wanting to assassinate Putin, you got to be very careful. You got to be tactical about this. If you're going to plan to assassinate Putin, you don't tell people about it.
Yeah,
Sure.
I probably should be tweeting it, Lindsey Graham. Sorry. So, yeah, one of our politicians actually did that because he's an idiot.
Those are
I guess my
World War
question
III
is,
words.
do you see any particular compromise here? Like, this is for anyone, but mostly for Darius, or however you say the name. Do you see any version of compromise here, or do you think it's just going to be somebody wins and somebody loses?
I'm pretty sure when Russia will lose for sure, and Putin will be ended like year after that.
How are you so sure that? I mean, like, Russia's very big. How are you so sure that it's going to
Soviet
lose?
Union was also very big, you know.
This is true.
Russia's not that big. Russia's only 140 million people. It's really not that
No,
I
big.
like
Military
what
is
Dimitri's saying.
much
He's
bigger.
saying like what happened with Afghanistan with Russia is going to happen the same with. I'm talking about with Russia, like Russia breaking up. Is the potential of the same would happen with Ukraine in wasting its resources and trying to.
Not much to break up.
Yeah, you guys. But the worry is not the population size, right? It's the
Military size is
the
what I'm worried
size
about. Yeah.
and the potential kick.
Their
that
their
comes with
military, and this is what I'm saying is
Russia's going to choke on Ukraine, trying to swallow.
they are so corrupt in a way that they are rotten inside, and so the current strategy right now is, oh, we know how bad they hurt, we know how bad, like to the point where they couldn't even financially afford to hit the nuke button is kind of where they're trying to head. It's like you can try to hit the nuke button, but you financially can't even afford to launch a fucking nuke anymore. Like to maintain the systems, to keep them all going together, like it just becomes almost impossible. And the systems they have, we know, are already so old and run down. There's not much left for them to do. So the whole point is gas them out until they have no gas anymore, and they just can't put up a fight anymore. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think it's a nuclear situation because I don't think that their nukes can really do what everybody fears they can do. It's not great technology.
I posted in the war text chat and the live text chat the War of Donbass. This is something you really need to study. There's also a timeline in there in order to understand what the Russians. When I speak to Russian people, that this is the thing they keep referencing, and they're calling this civil war genocide. I'll drop it for you guys in the YouTube chat as well. And
it's just a validation to invade Ukraine is all it is about.
Well, we don't.
Yeah, it's just an excuse.
Yeah, we don't have to.
Slava Ukraine. That's all I gotta say.
So it's called.
Yeah, so Demrius, what is your next move here? Are you just staying put to see what happens, or what are you going to do?
I'm still sitting here and waiting when Ukraine will win.
Right.
And I'm sure that it actually will be pretty soon.
Okay.
And then we need to rebuild our country because they destroy a lot of our cities, roads, infrastructure. And then we need to go to European Union and NATO. I'm pretty sure that we need to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if your country's a part of NATO, this doesn't happen, right? Or
sure.
Or if you have your own nuclear arms, it's just
we had for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it must be somewhat scary, terrifying. How are people around you reacting to this?
Sure, people are scared, afraid of being bombed, afraid to lost their relatives.
Yeah.
It's rough.
No one actually thought that it will actually happen. Because actually Putin making attack Ukraine for 20 years already. I mean, in informational sphere. In Russian television, it was forbidden to make any positive news about Ukraine. It's either nothing or bad news only for 20 years.
Does anyone else have any points, John?
Yeah, no questions for Demarius in particular, other than like heart goes out.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's actually,
the issue is kind of complicated in terms of like what we can do, but
no, you already making a lot. Actually, much more than we expected.
what do you mean? Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
mean
I
by
mean,
shipping materials and
can
stuff?
yeah, I
Like, how
mean,
helpful has that really been?
yeah,
I mean about law systems like light anti-tank weapons,
yeah.
stingers against.
Yeah, those they come in handy
Yes, very very much.
to take out the
Actually,
heavy machinery.
Actually, I was wondering, Demarius, I just realized some stuff. Like some of those stories about like the ghost of Kiev and like the Snake Island. Did you like those wound up not to be exactly true? Did you know that at the time and the world was slow, or did nobody know?
nobody knows. Yes, I actually think that it's not very true. Maybe, probably there are several people, but it's a good story to up moral of army and actual people.
Right.
But nobody
Demiris,
knows for sure.
yeah, Demiris. The first conversation, what I didn't understand was that the person they said somebody was taken out of power by Ukrainian thugs of that was going against Demetrius, the person that's now the president.
Zelensky.
Zelensky.
Zelensky, you mean?
Zelensky, the person that was running against Zelensky, that he was unfairly taken out of power. And
Yes,
what
totally agree.
confused me is that most Ukrainians, they vote for Zelensky. So how is it that this person that more leans to the Russian sphere of influence?
He's
I mean,
he
another
is
basic.
he uh, uh,
I mean, another way to put this, if I can add, Nivik, is: do you think Zelensky was democratically,
Yes, elected.
fairly elected?
yes, I'm pretty
Yes.
And do you like him as a leader?
No,
no,
it's not that I like him.
Nivik, I'm talking to Demarius. You don't like him as a leader?
no.
Okay,
But he is
Really?
good actually
what
now.
are some things you don't like about him?
No, he's pretty good in this conflict. But before that, he was really terrible
In what way?
Really?
in every way.
Can you expand? Like, can you be specific? Like, what do you think he's tyrannical, or do you think he's, just in it to
He's
make
trying
money?
to copy Putin actually,
He what?
but in smaller scale.
He what? Sorry, a small Putin.
Yes,
Oh,
he tried to be.
okay.
And why is he fighting so hard, do you think?
Or do you think he is?
I'm not sure actually, but
Demetrius, he wants to be NATO along with most of the Ukrainian people, right?
Well,
Mhm.
let's ask. Let's ask questions.
No, but I was just saying, like,
Yeah, objection leading the witness.
he goes along with their interests, is what I was saying, which is where I was coming from.
There's yeah, I mean, there I've heard from a lot of Russians who say that he wasn't legitimately elected, and this is another reason why they need to go in and and save everyone from
no,
this.
he was for sure elected faithfully, because I see people around me,
Right.
and it's very hard to find people who was not for Zelensky that year.
Right. Do
So
you
who is
do you
Putin?
feel that your country tells the truth to you?
Actually, I think yes, actually.
So generally, you feel that they tell the truth. Do you feel that that the Russian government tells the truth to its people?
No, sure not.
Okay, and what
But what
about
about
how do you
Snake
feel
Island?
about yeah, I mean, we can follow up with that. And then one other question: do you think the United States government tells the truth to its people?
I
About
don't
this?
know. USA should people should say.
Yeah, I just kind of was interested in your perception. Do you have a perception that the U.S. government is very secretive and doesn't really tell its people what it's doing, or do you?
No.
Okay,
I don't think so.
okay, okay. Yeah, but you asked what about Snake Island? Um,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
Yes.
think it's like excusable, like propaganda, even if it's not true? Do you think that doesn't really fall under the idea of a government being deceptive? Like, what do you think about that? How does that play into your idea that Ukraine is generally upfront?
Can you please repeat because I didn't get what you asking.
Well, you said that you think that Ukraine is generally honest with its people, right? But we were just
Yes.
kind of talking about how the Ghost of Kiev and the Snake Island stuff isn't really true. So how do you square those? Do you think it's just wartime, so it's okay, or like what do you think?
You know, it's not a big lie actually. It could be. It actually could be true because uh, Russian uh, Russian pilots are not trained good. When you can see in Ukrainian videos when we are capturing their pilots, this guys like overweight and totally not looking like a good pilots.
mm,
So they
Hmm.
mostly trained by bombarding Syria without any countermeasures, and they probably faced an air combat for the very first time. So it's
All right.
actually can be true, but also can be just a good story.
Everyone lies though, right? And it could be for a good cause or a bad cause.
Yes.
That is true. This isn't like, as far as causes go, this is a very good one. To be dishonest, I would agree. Um, I don't know. Like Demarius, would you like to see like NATO or Western or UN boots on the ground in Ukraine to help out? Is that something that you think would be a
Oh,
good thing?
it will be very good thing,
Okay,
but I don't think
well,
they
just
will.
checking.
what about Demarius? What about the threats from Putin about this would be an escalation into nuclear war potentially
I don't
if that
think
happened?
that could happen because he's not the one that can just pull the button and it's going. A lot of people should actually do the thing to make it happen.
Mm,
And no, not all of the Russians are suicidal guys.
yeah, yeah.
I have Demarius, I have one last question for you, and then I actually have to run. Do you think it was ever possible for Ukraine to actually be neutral, or do you think that it was gonna
No,
have to
no,
pick the West
no.
or Russia
Russia
at some point?
never saw us as neutral country.
What about if it had nukes? Do you think it'd be possible to stay neutral if you kept your nukes?
No, still no. Because
Okay, so you're
okay,
gonna have to
we have
explain that one.
revolution and what we couldn't just launch our nuke to Moscow. You know, then we will be the biggest evil in the world.
Right,
So basically,
Moscow
it's
would
not
hate
it's
you.
changing nothing.
All right, well, thanks, mate. I gotta run. Trav,
All
keep it
right.
alive.
Yeah, thanks,
Peace.
John. Great stuff. Does anyone else have any questions for Demrius? If you've just joined us, Demrius is located in the Ukraine. I believe he said central Ukraine. Um, and yeah, we were just having a chat, asking him some questions. Anyone else?
Demiris, I always thought like the potential division that could be brought up that's racial within the country it some folks are talking about like mistreatment of other people who aren't Ukrainian and they're not white in Ukraine. I think it kind of I think it hurts. It's like it's taking away focus.
Yeah, but how much truth is there to that, Nivik?
It's
In
a war.
Ukraine,
It's a war zone, so things get nasty. So like
Yeah, but that
if a
doesn't mean
person,
people turn racist when there's a war zone.
sure
well,
not.
what I'm just saying, like people's bad side can come out. There's like
Yeah, I don't
it's
know what you're getting at, honestly.
but they're saying at the border, like people are being turned away and
Okay.
It did actually happen.
what I'm saying is that it's not like I think it kind of hurts the cause, and I think like it should be it's something that should be addressed so the focus could be more on Ukraine in the issue of Russia invading Ukraine instead of trying to have it be something else. You know what I mean? And I think Putin can potentially even seize on that because like he did it with within the U.S. I think
Okay.
I think it could be used in a negative way in distraction, and I think that it's something that should be addressed in order to focus on the
So
unjust war
so
that's being waged by Putin in
so
Ukraine.
you're talking about foreign students fleeing Ukraine say they face segregation racism at border?
Yeah, and I think the focus should be more on the unjust aggression by Putin, and I think that takes away from it. So I think
I don't think like what how is that a calculus, Nivik?
it'd be within Ukraine's interest if they addressed that and dealt with it in a
Sure.
diplomatic way
But
instead of
that doesn't take
because it could be
away
seized on.
Yeah, but that doesn't take away from Putin's actions. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I couldn't disagree with you more on that point.
Well, no, I'm just saying no, it won't take away from his actions, but I'm just saying it could
That's
be.
what
It
I'm
could.
saying. But you
It
were
could.
saying like it could kind of take away from,
It's not a positive thing. So I'm just saying it's something that could potentially be focused on in saying like they're Nazis and this, which is
yeah,
not
yeah, Nivik,
which is bullshit.
yeah, okay, but it's yes. So some at some borders, some people have been engaging in this weird like racism. Yeah, it's an issue they have to sort out. But this is like such a like minor
Yeah, I agree. I
minor thing.
agree. Yeah, so it is a minor thing, and
But what's the message? I'm sure
like
the Ukraine government agrees that they shouldn't, that whoever was doing this shouldn't be doing this, right?
Yes.
I
I
mean,
got
you
that.
don't want Putin to seize on it and say, yeah, these people are Nazis. I mean, like Putin
Yeah, but that
have
doesn't strengthen his argument
Nazis in
whatsoever.
Russia too.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying things should be, it should just be handled in a nice diplomatic way. You get what I mean? Instead of
Yeah. I'm
that's
yeah.
all.
I mean, I'm sure almost everyone in the Ukraine agrees with you, right?
Yes.
And what is this, Demrius? I've read a little bit in some from some Western journalists that do talk about there being some like some issues with Nazism in Ukraine. Like, do you guys have a problem with like swellings
No,
of some of these gangs?
it's also just Putin propaganda.
Now, is there any truth to this? Because I'd like to ask you about some specific things. Like when I look up,
No.
so are you saying no, as in there's never been a Nazi in the Ukraine?
Yes.
No, come on, man. There's obviously been there's been a Nazi in Canada before. Like, I mean, like.
Yeah, you're talking to him right now.
Because when you respond to
No,
me,
not Canada.
When you respond to me and you say no, that sounds a bit irrational to me.
I agree, but still no.
Okay, so this Ukraine's Nazi problem is real, even if Putin's denazification claim isn't. So here's some claims here.
See, the problem
of many,
with that is
hang on,
you say
Nivek,
that
I'm in the middle of reading something, dude. Of the many distortions manufactured by Russian President Vladimir Putin to destroy Russia's assault on Ukraine, perhaps the most bizarre in his claim that the action was taken to, quote, denazify the country and its leadership. In making his case for entering his neighbor's territory with armored tanks and fighter jets, Putin has stated that the move was undertaken to, quote, protect people who have been subjected to bullying and genocide. And that Russia will strive for demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine. Okay, but even though Putin is engaging in propaganda, it's also true that Ukraine has a genuine Nazi problem, both past and present. Putin's destructive actions, among them the devastation of Jewish communities, make clear that he's lying when he says his goal is to ensure anyone's welfare. But important as it is to defend the yellow and blue flag against the Kremlin's brutal aggression, it would be a dangerous oversight to deny Ukraine's anti-Semitic history and collaboration with Hitler's Nazis, as well as, and I want to get I want to get your response in just a sec. I'm just going to finish this. Collaboration with Hitler's Nazis, as well as the later day embrace of neo-Nazi factions in some quarters. And let me just say, nowadays Ukraine counts between 56,000 to 140,000 Jews who enjoy freedoms and protections never imagined by their grandparents. Let's see. About Ukraine's recent years erected a glut of statues honoring Ukrainian. Other far-right groups have also gained political currency in the past decade, none more chilling than Svoboda. I can't pronounce that. That is a really hard. Formerly the Social National Party of Ukraine, whose leader claimed the country was controlled by Muscovite Jewish mafia. So there's this. Some people are making claims that there's a like a problem with actual literal Nazis. What do you think of these claims?
Okay, we are not so Nazis that we elected ethnical Jewish to our president,
right?
As our president. So we have first in the world Jewish Nazi president.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're saying your president or your leader is, but I'm just asking do you have gangs of Nazis hanging out in the Ukraine, like causing trouble?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Cause that's like, some people report this, but you know, it's hard to know because people say that there's Nazis everywhere in the United States when really there's like two. And you know, like, and people write things like the Nazi occupation. Okay. Let's see here.
I can say that there were some meetings about like pro-Nazis, but it was after it was totally made by Putin, actually, by pro-Putin forces.
By the way, your response is perfect with him being Jewish. That's a good contradiction in saying, even if there is, we voted for a Jewish president.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
but
that is a good.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that doesn't answer the question, like the original question of, you know, is it true that there are these like gangs of Nazis hanging around? And a lot of people talk about this, but when I look for like, for some, like I see TASS, which is the Russian news agency. They will say Ukraine's neo-Nazi holds 7,500 foreigners hostage by the Russian defense. And like, this is crap. Like, I'm pretty sure this entire article is just a bunch of shit. Like, I've read this. Here, I'll post it for you guys. This is the Russian news agency. I want you guys to read this and try.
That's my point.
Try and verify some of this information. I'll put it in the live text. And maybe I just can't find it, but try and verify this. I'll put it in war as well. But yeah, some of this stuff is just like from the and read this TASS, Russian news agency. Like, you should read some of this stuff. It's baffling.
I can give you another example. When Russia occupied Crimea, they made a video about some synagogue and Jewish rabbi fleeing for synagogue. They're saying that, oh, this you see, and they say, you see, he is leaving because Ukrainian Nazis will come here. And then he said, okay, I'm leaving because Russia came here, and Russia hates Jewish people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all very weird. I mean, this must be somewhat scary for you and your family, and I'm totally in the camp of, I think this is unprovoked. Vladimir Putin has nothing but a conspiracy theory to stand on that has not been demonstrated. We haven't seen any evidence of genocide happening inside the Ukraine. What I see is evidence of a long stretched out civil war where the Ukrainian government was trying to take back some land that was basically stolen by this group of Russian and Ukrainian separatists. They're trying to get it back for their people, and there's been this resistance and this fighting happening, and that fighting, the deaths that have resulted from that fighting, the Russians are calling that genocide. That's just pure, just false information, man. That seems crystal clear to me, and I spoke to a Russian supporter and who's a Russian military member on the air today, and they kind of projected that same idea and belief. And when I look at the information available, I just see no evidence of it, and I see them not calling a spade, but calling a spade a heart. And that's an indication to me logically that there is just just misleading people, trying to mislead people into supporting a cause that really has no reasonable justification. So,
Travis, that's why I was pointing out the border, the danger there, and where Putin can say, "See, there's injustice." Just exactly that. What I was saying.
But Nivik,
I'm not pro Putin.
If Putin points at that's a managerial issue. Like, you're pointing to an issue of like sergeants needing to manage their people at the border better or get clearer, because if someone can show me that the Ukrainian government said to separate people by race, then we have a problem to take to the government at the government level and say, hey, wait a second, we're not going to allow you to do this unless you have good reason to be doing so. So we would, we would go about it that way. But when I look into this, it looks like some people saying that this was happening, and there might be some evidence that it was happening in some cases. But these are just like, this Putin would never point to that. He's not that retarded.
He could potentially say the injustices at the border validates what my argument.
He's not that stupid. He's not going to say, oh yeah, this further validates because some people at the border have been separating these people by race. I just think that's just evidence of some people doing shit that people will be will have a problem with morally, right? I don't think they should be separating people by race, and I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. If they in fact are doing that on a large scale, I'd have to look at that more. But that has nothing to do with genocide.
Another example, in Kiev there was a memorial about killed Jewish during World War II, and what you guess is now Russian destroyed it actually, like 3 days ago. It was destroyed by bombs of Russia. This Jewish memorial made by Ukrainians for this.
Right, but that's they may have not like meant to target that, right? They might have just like one of their rockets hit it. But that's kind of the same thing. It's like when you start saying like, oh, well they did this, and then but what about what they did? What about what they did? Like that's whataboutism, right? It's like we can deal with these things in isolation, but I think unless we have other evidence.
No. I mean that we actually have this memorial. We built it like I believe years ago or so.
Yep. I understand that. Like, I understand you guys have this memorial and it's been hit. But to say that it was hit because Russia.
No. I'm saying that we actually had it. So we have some. If we are Nazis, we would never build a memorial for Jewish people.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear what you're saying. Well, the response to that might be, oh yeah, you just did that to throw us off. You're really the worst kind of Nazis. But yeah, this is how when you get stuck.
A good argument, though.
When you get stuck in conspiratorial thinking, it's like anything you say to the person, you'll be like, look, we have a Jewish, look, I married a Jewish woman. Look, I have Jewish kids. Look. And then the conspiracy theorist is still staring at you like, yeah, you did all of that to lead us astray. We still know you're a Nazi. Like at that point, there's no convincing the person, right? You can entrench yourself in a conspiracy theory and find all kinds of lines where this could all make sense, It's like this is where they show us that the pyramids were built by the Sumerian aliens and that lizard folk are really running Russia.
Yeah, agree.
That is a good argument where you're saying these folks are this certain way, but they vote for a Jewish leader and they have a Jewish, what was that, shrine?
Yeah, like they have a Jewish statue, Yeah, and look, if let's put ourselves in the shoes of Putin, how would we talk about that? If your people come to you and they say, Mr. Putin, like, look, they have these statues of Jewish people, and they elected a Jew, and they and Putin's like, that's what they want you to think. And then everyone's like, yeah, Putin, he's a genius. He's thinking in 4D chess here, man, as opposed to just like slapping a little Occam's razor on that thing and being like, maybe they aren't a bunch of like Jew-hating Nazis in the Ukraine. Just maybe.
Yes.
Anyways,
I think with his argument,
Lady, do you have a question or any points to add?
I was thinking about that, and I suppose my feeling on it is that we don't know why any of this is happening. And I don't think any person from any country knows why it's happening. And I think anything that we are told is noise and propaganda. It made me want to pull out Mein Kampf when he was talking about the different storylines, and just hearing you guys all talk about it, it's like you're trying to untangle something, and when you try to tease out the truth from all the noise, I think it's like trying to do a science experiment in the middle of an earthquake. I don't think.
Ooh,
yeah.
I mean, my response to that is you do realize that we do have like career journalists who are doing like the most death-defying journalism right now of their career inside where this crisis is taking place, and up to a few days ago inside Russia as well, right?
Yeah, but I don't think that if you're just standing there watching it and reporting on what you're seeing, that you understand the motivations behind it. Because I think things like this are built in think tanks over decades, and I think this is very planned. If I'm looking at it logically and I'm looking at the history of wars, I think I've come to the same conclusion in my meditations. I think that what I fear most is that this is step one of multiple countries and leaders conspiring to take back land. So I think we will see China go into Taiwan in the same way that they went into Hong Kong. And they alluded to that and were gaslighting, flying planes in Taiwan airspace before the Olympics. And so I think I'm going to hope for the best, but it's not looking good.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have really like astute political scientists that have looked at, that know Russia really well and know at least we have a good sense of what is going on and the reasons given by the Russians for invading. And that doesn't mean that's necessarily what the reasons actually are, but that also illuminates a lot of information for us too. When we say, oh, okay, they went with that, did they? Out of the many different options that they could have chosen for, this invasion or declaring war, they went with the, genocide against Russian separatists in the Ukraine. And that this is more of this isn't a war necessarily. This is more of a military operation, and they've likened this in many of their, when voicing what they think they are doing, they've likened it to the United States in Iraq. But I don't, I don't think it's, I guess I'm not as, I would say you sound quite cynical about the information that's available on this.
Well, I guess that gives me my question for Demarius then. So Demarius, what is this, from your vantage point, what do you think is the common consensus in your experience of what's happening in your country? And do you feel like people have a lot of differing points of views? Are there a lot of different perspectives on why this is happening? Or is there just one main narrative and everybody sort of agrees? Or is everyone wrong? Do you understand? Am I making sense?
Everyone understands that actually Putin made it from the nothing. Like, he imagined it and just wanted to attack Ukraine for a long time, and he finally did it. I think it's actually one point of view, but the other maybe deeper can be different. Some different views. Why, especially, what's the real reason why he wanted to attack Ukraine? Some people think that he wanted just to have more people, because Ukraine is 40 million and Russian 120 million is pretty big population growth could be. Also, Ukraine in the center of Europe, basically, so you can attack from Ukraine to actually attack Europe, a lot of countries. So it's like a platform. Also, in Ukraine there are a lot of mineral resources like metal, iron, that could be used. Urans could be used for making warships and tanks. So there are some ideas and views about this, but everyone agrees that it's actually Putin made it for himself.
Thanks. Yeah, it seems like there could be so many reasons, and what the overarching one is.
Or maybe that Ukraine leaving Russia, it shouldn't have happened, and it's rightfully a part of Russia, and it's just going to be taken back.
I also think we need to understand that sometimes when we're asking the question why, when someone makes a decision or things happen, we may get the information in the end, like we may be able to piece together something, or maybe a manifesto's left behind, or maybe it's written on all of the political publications from the voice of the leader of that country from that time, but maybe we won't get the truth, right? Sometimes we don't. And that's why I think, focusing on what has been said, like the evidence of reality, what has been said, what has been done, and what are some inferences or extrapolations and predictions we can make based on the information that we have. So I think there are some there are some ideas that a lot of political scientists are talking about, like, okay, these are the three main reasons why, Russia would go in, and here are my arguments, and here, and here's the evidence to support. So there's a lot of people making these predictions or trying to play the mind reading game of the Russian government and Putin right now. But I tend to look more to not trying to get to the. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, there is no Russian government. There is only Putin. All other people just.
What do you actually? Let's expand on that a little more. What about the oligarch and how it and what kind of role it plays? Like, do you think there's anything there, or do you think this is Putin just does what he wants?
Putin just does what he wants, and all government is for you, for Western world to show, okay, we're also a normal country like you, but they're not.
I'm gonna see if I can get CFC in here.
It's cosplaying, It's cosplaying of a normal country.
Right.
It's a king.
Did you just say it was cosplaying?
Yes.
That's great.
He's pretending to be democratic, right? And then he takes out all his potential rivals. And he's not really that. He's authoritarian.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let's Jason, have you been listening, or did you just get here?
Just got here.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we have Demrius here, who's living in the Ukraine. He's in kind of central Ukraine. We've just been asking him various questions. Do you have any questions?
I don't know. Did you guys talk about the picture on the New York Times today?
Which one?
It was a picture of civilians being killed in Ukraine. It was on the front page.
Now happening all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at the New York Times. I want to see this image. See if I've seen this one.
Actually, we captured Russian military, and he said that it was a command to kill civilian, to do as worse as it can be, like blowing houses, kill civilian people, and
So
if you are
to demoralize,
and if you are not agree with it, you also others should kill you.
Let's bring Aaron in. Aaron, I saw you mention that this is such a joke. What part are you referring to?
Travis, you already know what I'm going to say.
No, I don't.
If I didn't have hope in humanity before, I definitely don't have it now. This goes to show that all this bragging and boasting we do about each other, how we're so advanced and so special, yet we're still going to war over petty bullshit. I just, humanity is a fucking joke. That's all I have to say about it. Joke.
I mean, yeah, I do share your frustration with this stuff. Like, this is really like, look, we knew this was coming. Anyone who's looked at Russia and Russia's feelings over the past, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and how the things that Russia wants, the things that Russia never got, Russia's never listened to enough. Russia's never taken seriously. Look at us over here. We're going to do these things to get the world's attention. We all knew that a day would come when the world had to unite against a bully. and I think Russia is a bully. They've demonstrated that with this declaration of war. We need to send a message to the bully that we'll let you get away with, pulling that one kid's hair, but leave that kid alone from here on out. And if you persist, there's going to be consequences. You're only going to be able to take an apple to school for until we see fit. You're not going to be able to bring your peanut butter and jelly sandwich anymore. How far can I go with this analogy? And if you continue, if you act outraged because of these necessary punishments that we think you deserve, then it's only going to get worse. And then the bully says, "Well, what does that mean? I can do way worse than what I've done here already." Well, I guess you're either going to find out or you're not. But I know my nation, Canada, we've been shipping powerful weapons to help the Ukrainian people destroy, your overreach into their country, and we're going to keep doing it. And hopefully we won't have to, but we'll be sending. There is a line that you can cross, and you're very close to it, where NATO and other joint forces are going to come together, and unfortunately, it's going to be so many innocent people that get punished, and not these overzealous, bullies in the playground.
I just want it on the record, by the way. I'm not frustrated. I'm too jaded to be frustrated. This is typical human behavior. It's like, honestly, if anything, I'm more surprised that it's taken this long for some stupid shit to happen. Human beings just can't help themselves. We have to fight each other over stupid shit. The fact that we're still, how many hundreds of years later, still fighting over fucking land.
Yeah, but here's the thing,
I can't.
Aaron, it's not all of us. I don't think it's humanity. It's literally like right now, if we look around the globe, it's like this kind of thing, this kind of threat to this scale is pretty rare. And what happens if Russia just says, you know what? I think we got to work on diplomacy with Ukraine. We got to work with Ukraine. They're our buddy. They're our little buddy. We got to grow together and build programs that are going to be mutually beneficial to both of our countries and work together. Not this fucking like playing Civilization 6, like, I'm going to declare war now because my military's in position and, oh, it's going to be so good. We're going to be so welcome. Like, this is all just a fucking big pile of delusional bullshit. This whole thing.
That's literally my point. That's literally my point.
Frustrates me, man.
I'm not surprised. It's the shit like this that kind of makes me personally wish that I was born like 2,000 years in the future, where hopefully human beings would have evolved beyond this pointless war bullshit.
Well,
because I don't care. I honestly don't give a fuck what Putin's inspiration or motivation is. It's fucking pointless. It's pointless.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, I'm glad you're here talking to us now and not 2,000 years into the future. That's just me.
No, I'm not.
Anybody seen the PBS? The PBS has a Frontline out on Putin that came out like a week ago. It's really good. Like, just goes over the history from him, as like a 16-year-old trying to get into the KGB to becoming I don't know, it was like the deputy mayor or mayor of St. Petersburg, like his FSB career, like the bombings of the buildings to kind of inspire people to vote to put him in for Yeltsin. It's really good. And all along the way, they just interview all these Russian people who were like, he's a killer. He's been doing this ever since he was like, in the KGB. It's really, I mean, the fact, like what Aaron was saying is like, I'm not surprised that he's doing this, given the kind of person that he is. And we've just let him do this for 20 years. And, I don't want to say we're reaping what we sow, but like we've let him kind of fester. And now we're in a position where it's very difficult to deal with him.
Yeah. It can we imagine a worse scenario? Like I'm just thinking of like, obviously you can stack up details, but I'm talking about like in a diplomatic position when thinking about other nations. It's like, okay, the United States has the greatest military force. The second greatest military force on this planet is bullying another nation, making up just bullshit as an excuse to invade. And right now, like the powers that be must be like, is this really happening?
I mean, when you said they're the second largest military power, I mean, I probably would say China is the second largest military power. But
Forbes, I know in the Forbes list they have Russia above China, but who knows? Like China's got like when it comes to size or power. When it comes to fucking like bodies and numbers, like Russia is not very big.
I think China spends more money.
China probably does spend more money, but yeah, either way, like second or third, and like obviously everyone's thinking right now, life is too good to be doing this. Like generally around the planet, life has gotten pretty damn good for most of the planet. And if you read Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now, like the where we are now as a globe compared to where we were 20 years ago, much better. And it continues to get better. A few little dips in that upward trend, but it's happening. So like, I know a lot of people are being very delicate with this, but it's like you can't win this on linguistics alone, can you, against what Russia's doing? It's like I'm trying, consistent relation of reality. I'm following the algorithm, step. I'm trying to find a way out for us to be able to maintain our principles in the West, our moral principles, our general moral outlook on the world of what we carry, to the United Nations. What else can we do?
I mean, I have one idea.
World War III.
Stop giving power to old people. You laugh, but I'm very serious.
No, I laugh, but not. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, I was just thinking the other day, listening to Biden's State of the Union. It's like, I think I mentioned it on here. It's like the old person's home.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing.
Biden could barely, like, I voted for Biden, but like, I think I was talking to David Pakman and on his stream, and essentially saying, I gave his speech like a C, mainly because he fumbled through it over like most of the speech, and I didn't give me warm fuzzies to see that. But I would agree that like we're a world where old people dominate, and it's probably not going to change anytime soon.
And you know what really sucks about this? That if we do see one of these bad scenarios play out, do you know who dies? The young people.
Yeah.
It's the people who have only, lived 30 years or even much less. It's just, and I get Aaron, I hear that frustration. I totally get it. And I think most of the world is over that, but we still have these skeletons in the closet. And Russia, and especially under Putin's control, is one of those skeletons in the closet. It's that terrible meeting on your schedule that you've been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And then it's eventually, it just, you have no time left and you have to take that meeting. But it's not like this meeting is something we all didn't think was going to happen. And I'm not talking about the meeting of like a World War III full-fledged. I'm talking about being challenged, having Russia challenge, in what it's doing right now, challenge to see who's going to step up to the challenge, who wants to risk nuclear war like they have. They've put their chips on the table.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because the only other thing I have to say about all this retarded shit is I wonder, that's what it is. Sorry, not sorry.
I love you, Aaron.
The only other question I have is, I feel like how the rest of the more peaceful nations that actually have can actually do something about this, I wonder how their response is going to trigger because Russia invading Ukraine isn't the only thing gearing up to happen. I mean, China wants Taiwan. I'm pretty sure North Korea still wants the head of the Japanese. Like, if there isn't a sufficient enough response to this, which I doubt there will be, then will China go, well, shit, if Russia could get away with invading Ukraine, let's go take back Taiwan. And maybe North Korea says, well, fuck it. Well, fuck it then. Maybe we can finally go after Japan. Like,
which leads
human beings are a joke.
How do you see, I guess that's the question that I'm looking at is, okay, so here we are, regardless of how or why, how do you, with everything that you know, see this progressing? Like, some people want it to stop. Some people think that it can be stopped. Some people think it won't be stopped. And you're sort of, I think, in line with some of what I said earlier, Aaron. Yeah. So then, yeah.
I honestly think, like, I think Putin gives zero shits about these sanctions. Zero shits. He's planned for it. This is all planned for. Like, do we think that we're throwing things at Putin, like with sanctions that, I can't believe they would sanction me in that way? I'm sure he expects it to get worse, which it sounds like it is going to for him. But is that really going to deter him from completing his mission? A guy that has been yearning to put his stamp on the world's history in a big way.
Isolating him won't deter him?
Why is it that he isn't facing, like, again, this is why I say this is such a joke, because we have these international laws that basically say, hey, you can't just go invading other countries, but this shit, people just get away with it. Like, I feel like the only time that motherfuckers actually had to stand trial for doing stupid shit like this was the fucking, what were they called? The trials after World War II.
Nuremberg.
The Nuremberg trials. Yeah. Like, why isn't Putin facing some shit like that? Where somebody literally captures him and fucking puts his ass on trial.
Well,
the fact that you laugh goes to show how much of a joke it is.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, I mean, that was the dream with Hitler, right? They wanted to get Hitler alive and have him stand trial. So, I mean, do I think Putin has crossed the line, has committed war crimes? I do. I think he needs to...
Now you gotta grab him.
I think he needs to pay the price as the leader that carried this out and decided... And I think we need to minimize the suffering that comes to Russia as much as we can, as these terrible, the terribleness that will unfold. Because even with sanctions, like there's going to be a lot of Russian people that suffer greatly because of these sanctions.
Well, again, last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to shut the hell up.
2 seconds, Aaron. I just want to address this. Dude, Putin is not Hitler. No one said Putin was Hitler. What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? This is CFC Simolatio.
In what ways? No one said Hitler.
Oh, come on, Nivik.
Okay, no.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
like,
do we really want to have the conversation about why Hitler is much worse than Putin?
Yeah, we're talking. I'm talking about like if the same tactics are done and there's not as much damage. What would it matter?
Putin is not committing genocide. Putin is not.
I'm not about.
He's.
Yes, there aren't concentration camps.
There aren't concentration camps. They feel as though they're performing this is the delusion on the Russian side. They feel as though they are performing like a military operation like the United States did with Iraq. I mean, like, I don't like. Is this similar? Like, do you think the people of Iraq? Do you remember them raising arms up against American military presence like we see in the Ukraine? Like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I'm wrong about that, but. Like, what do you guys remember the resistance being like in Iraq to American troops?
In the beginning, it was minimal, but over time,
it
was
built.
extensive.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, and which is actually, something that I think Putin should be concerned about, because we're only like day 13 in this, and. If this drags on, it could become like something like Iraq, because, well, frankly, they're never going to be able to sustain any type of long war. They just don't have the financial backing for that.
How do we give Putin a way out that his ego can handle?
Fuck him and his ego. Let me ask you a question.
Tough question.
Let's answer that question. No, but Aaron, this is sometimes this is a really this is a way that you can de-escalate these situations.
No, you don't get it.
His way or the highway?
Demrius, go ahead.
We already gave him a lot of chances to have his ego and go back, and he didn't. He didn't want to come back, to go back. He wanted to finish his mission of conquering Ukraine, no matter what.
CFC says America's invasion of Iraq was Hitler. Fuck off. Like, seriously? That's your position?
See, now you're starting to sound like me, Travis. Congratulations. I just have 2 questions. Just 2.
I mean that
Number
metaphorically, by the way.
I just have 2 questions. Number 1, because, of course, my initial reaction was, so Russia can go fuck itself and fuck Russians. But
no, not fuck Russians. I disagree.
Let me finish, Travis. Let me finish, goddammit.
Okay.
But
can I fucking finish?
Let me fucking
Thank
finish.
you. When I set my own biases against people aside, I go, okay, first of all, did the Ukraine actually do something to provoke this? And if not,
no.
How much of the actual, that's what I thought. How much of the actual Russian population supports what he's doing? Because if most of Russia doesn't support what Vladimir Putin is doing, then yes, I agree. Don't let Russians suffer. But if they support what he's doing, then fuck them. But the second more important question is, how does Ukraine not have allies that are coming to help them fight these fuckers off?
Okay, well, I mean,
like, why
that's supposed to be Canada and the United States
NATO.
and NATO.
Great.
Like, it's supposed to be like, Okay, so
Fucking brilliant.
now they're not a member of NATO, but yeah, okay. It's like they're our little buddy, like they're our little brother. They're NATO's little brother. Like they're like, well, what are we gonna do? Let our little brother get bullied? Like this is there's some really basic schoolyard analogies here that just keep invading my brain, and I don't know why. But oh no, but I wanted to stick on that question. Like, let's all play the diplomacy game of chess here. Understand what we are dealing with Russia. How do we give Putin and the Russian regime a way out that they can be satisfied with a huge smile on their face? Cash?
Why would you be trying to do that?
We buy? No, look, Aaron, I'm talking about trying to avoid nuclear destruction, nuclear war, right? Would we... Like, we're happy to, we're happy to pay this much money, and then you can say, oh, you just made this big cash win for your people, and you get out of here. Like, can this be bought? Can Putin and the oligarchs be bought here?
No,
I don't think so. Yeah.
No.
They have much more money than you even can imagine.
Typical Canadian niceness.
No,
let's try and talk about it as this motherfucker's killing innocent fucking civilians.
I'm willing
Damn it, Travis.
I'm willing to look at all of the possible options. What if it was $10 trillion?
You give a monster a cookie, you encourage him to
exactly
and rip your face off. He's gonna rip your face off for the rest of your cookies.
You're just emboldening him by doing that. You should be trying to crush this motherfucker.
Hang on.
The damage.
We do this, but then we get Russia to sign this declaration that they will they can only defend themselves forever. If they ever invade another country again, they don't get to be a country.
Russia never.
And maybe maybe we'll throw a few women in there too. That tends to like spice up any deal.
Just turn women into objects, huh? Jesus fucking Christ!
Cancel Travis Pangburn.
You should be trying to crush him, not work with him.
Okay,
the man's clearly Travis. The man clearly has his head so far up his ass, he's literally breaking the laws of quantum mechanics. Okay, why the fuck do you want to negotiate with this asshole? Like, honestly,
Aaron, I don't. It's not that you want to negotiate in these situations. Always, what you would love to do is like snap your finger and have that person removed from power, and then they retreat and they all go home. But we have to think of like I'm asking you to get weird here. Get really weird. Aaron, would you be willing to give a reach around to Putin if he would just simply go home?
Definitely.
Yes.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Come on, Aaron.
I'm not going to say what I would rather do.
I'm like, as the only woman in the chat, I'm just gonna
But you're enabling a bad behavior. You're giving a profit-driven motive of, okay, let's give him money.
Nivik, I'm not saying you might do things like after they retreat and they go back to Russia, you fucking militarize. No, hang on. You militarize heavily everything around Russia so that like literally you're like, yeah, you get them to sign some kind of deal. And again, I'm grasping at straws here. I'm looking for a diplomatic way to find our way out of this situation. Is there one? I don't know. Let's hear your ideas.
By the way, I just want to point out Skeptic77 on YouTube saying you can't crush Russia. I'm not saying crush Russia. I'm saying crush Putin. Because I imagine that most Russians aren't in agreement with what Putin's doing. So crushing Russia because of this would make a whole lot of fucking sense. Now would it?
CFC says, if you can't beat them, join them.
That's a recipe for world annihilation.
What if we just said this? Putin, leave Ukraine alone, go home. We're going to give you this crown that says King of the World on it. And for the rest of your life, you get to be king of the world, as long as, and there's no other perks, you just get to wear the crown. And you have to sign this declaration that says Russia will never invade any country ever again, or else it can't be a country.
That was the deal with Ukraine. Ukraine had nukes, right? And that was the deal, if not messing with Ukraine. And they got rid of their nukes, and Russia still invaded Ukraine. So there's your reward. There's your reward.
I think you'd piss off China. You'd be like, wait, what?
China. Yeah, and then China gets involved. And like, we want the crown.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
But then, so while people are still thinking of their...
Go ahead, lady. Let's let lady go, Nivik, and then you.
Yeah. I was just going to say, while people are imagining other scenarios for how to extricate diplomatically, I was going to point back to what Aaron said a moment ago about, what about these Nuremberg trials and these structures that we have in place? And my question to that is, what happens now that we see that these things aren't actually being implemented? They're not. So the illusion there. So what has that damage? We can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the damage going to be? Finding out that the structures that we have can't be enforced or aren't going to be enforced, and like the validity of them after the aftermath of that, and how do we recover from that? Because I think that's huge. Once you show, somebody's tested the boundaries, right? We were talking about parenting yesterday. Like, once you've tested the boundaries and you know that you can't be grounded for the rest of your life or something like that, right? What do you do when you find out the Nuremberg trials don't happen? And what is the cost of that?
Yeah. Like, what's the cost of like no penalty for crime, right? Like, if we use, can we build an analogy out of Portland in the United States, where Portland kind of just like was, it just turned into this chaos zone for a while. I don't know what's still going on there, but like,
what's the point of having international laws if they're going to be broken?
Right.
With no repercussions.
Look, that's the thing. It's like, if we can't enforce these laws or protect allies, why are they even there? All of a sudden, someone who has nukes, who just starts acting like they got nothing to lose, and they just like start invading countries, like, we're gonna say like, well, they do have nukes. I guess we've like, what are we doing? Like, did we not think of this? Did we not plan for this? Like, come on.
Hey, Travis.
Yes.
Travis, remember when I said in the YouTube chat that this is such a joke? Do you understand why I said that now?
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. But what I want, I'm a practical motherfucker. I want to find like practical ways that we can tiptoe out of this and be like, okay, there were terrible things. Many people died that didn't need to die. We need to address that. But how do we figure this out?
Travis,
do we really think Putin should be entitled to any Ukrainian land after this? Like, even the ones that the separatists have occupied and, tried to take over?
Can I play out the scenario with you and me being a bully, and I'm coming to your doorstep right now and I'm messing with you, and then you give me some money and say, hey, here's some money to leave me alone and don't bother me again. Guess what? Like, next day I'm knocking on your door and I'm asking for like your shoes and more stuff, and then I'll leave you alone, and then you give me that, and then I'll come back the next day and I'm just like, hey, I like your bike. I want your bike. What are you going to do? You're going to give me your bicycle?
I'm probably going to
exactly where you're going.
I'm probably going to Shawn Michaels sweet chin music right to the chin.
I like your wife.
Laptop as well.
Yeah, I like your wife too. Yeah.
That too, yeah.
Skeptic77 says we need to send Pangburn to negotiate with Putin. I will rub his ego, man. Once I know what deal we are offering, I'll make that thing sound so sweet. He'll just be like, Well, I mean, I can't say no. That's obviously not an option. Like, I could sell that. I could sell.
Stroke the ego of the guy who doesn't care about who dies. That makes a whole lot of fucking sense.
No, it does. It really does. Like diplomatically, like what Donald Trump did with North Korea, I think was Donald Trump's the best part of his presidency.
What do you do?
You know, feeling well. I think showing North Korea that we notice and we're listening and we're here to communicate. You know, there are some things that go on in your country that we think are bad, but we're here. You know, we're here to communicate. We're here. We're at the table. We acknowledge you as human beings. A lot of times with small nations who, you know, they're trying to like do bomb testing and trying to get noticed because daddy never pays attention to them. It's like sometimes daddy needs to go in and just pay a little attention. I think, you know, seeing North Korea and South Korea shake hands, was a beautiful thing, you know.
So after all this, you think we're going to shake hands with Putin?
What?
After all this, you think we're going to talk diplomatically with Putin and shake hands with him?
You might have to. That's the terrible thing about diplomacy on this planet.
That alternative that is.
Sorry, wow, Andy, you are loud. Go ahead, man.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries. I think I had you at 125% for some reason.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, it might suck to have to shake hands with a slimy guy like Putin, but that alternative is so much better than war.
Yeah, honestly, you guys, like Nivik, you only need to see one like a dead child that's been charred to death by some kind of explosion that happened right by them. They had to experience that as their last experience in their life. And then you're like, oh yeah, I'm fine shaking this guy's hand if we can minimize the amount of that occurring.
Okay, guys, don't get it. Actually, power of Putin is based on social agreement. Like, you give us money and you do what you want, basically. And he gets money from selling oil and gas. And if you will stop buying oil and gas, social agreement will just destroy it. So, and he will be thrown.
So Demrius, I get that. Like, if we literally did stop, like if everyone stopped buying oil and gas from Russia, it would impoverish the country, as far as I'm concerned. But that's not. But Demrius, is that really a good option based on your moral foundation? Like, do you want to like? I mean, it's an option, but what if the Russians like just don't care and they allow their country to just fall into depravity? What do we do next? It's like the next step is like some kind of like forceful intervention. Like
no, they okay, actually.
People would uprise.
I mean, God, like let me pull up my Stalinpedia for a second here.
People would uprise if you impoverish the country.
Yes. They will blame Putin for their poverty.
Exactly. So you starve them.
I'd also like to point out, I think the major difference between North Korea and Russia is that North Korea sticks to their own people. They're not going out killing other countries, like citizens, for bullshit reasons, where Russia kind of is. Just going to put that on the table.
They just don't have enough money to invade other countries, and Russia has. That's the only difference, basically.
I don't think negotiating, buying them off, I don't think any of those things are going to work. And
likely not, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean, if you try to step into the mind of Putin and say, well, what does Putin want? Putin's almost 70. He wants, I've said this before, he wants a restoration of the Soviet Union. He wants the Baltic states, Ukraine. He wants to take back what was taken from Soviet Union during the Cold War. So if we're like, what appeases Russia? The only thing that's going to appease him is, frankly, even if you were to say, Ukraine is his, I don't think that would appease him. I think he's gonna go forward and say, "I want the Baltic states. I want Georgia."
We
The Russian
want to
Empire.
see. We do not want to see another Joseph Stalin situation of millions dying. Of there was of course the ethnic cleansing aspect, but I'm talking from like a famine, just like nationwide depravity to a level that we just see millions of people dying, the worst kind of death imaginable. This is just we need to also think when we're looking at sanctions, when we're looking at what we could do to to really squeeze the balls of Russia. We do need to consider, like, I want there to be a way for the people who don't want any part of this to, like an opportunity for a mass exodus. But I know that sometimes it's just impossible. It's just
a lot of Russians are leaving right now.
I know a lot are. There are a lot fleeing, and I'm glad to see this. Not everyone can fucking afford this. Like, not everyone can afford to just pick up and leave and flee. And their families are there. Like, it's just, it's horrific, man.
By the way, let me see here. Demrius, I believe I heard someone say that you're actually in Ukraine. Is that true?
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'm a dumb American. I'll be the first to say that. But just know I really wish I could give you a hug right now because
thank you, man.
It's just disgusting. It's disgusting. Absolutely.